Okay, great. Well, we will go ahead and get started. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for a webinar. Again, this is our cosmetology case study webinar at Lumina and Cameo College of Essential Beauty. So we are so excited to be joined by a very special guest today. But first, I know that we have some new faces on our webinar today. So I want to make sure that I give an introduction of Ciena and what we do. That way you are fully aware. So to start, my name is Ashley Gottschalk. I am a sales account executive here at Ciena. And just so you are aware, Ciena was founded in 2008 and we are based here out of Central Ohio. We are industry experts and we have three services that we do really well. Those services are one, compliance. So we help schools as they go through licensing, accreditation, reaccreditation, even starting a brand new school. We do all sorts of work in that consulting area. Second is curriculum development. So we do a lot of custom curriculum development across a lot of different industries. And actually, even outside of the education space, we do it for different companies looking to add onboarding training in that aspect. And then last but not least, EDlumina is our third pillar of what we do. And that is what we are here mostly to talk about today. So EDlumina is a student management system. It's comprised of both a CRM and an SIS, and it helps you manage students from the time they come in as a lead all the way until they are alumni. So we do have schools use EDlumina in a variety of different ways, whether they use it just as a CRM or they use both the CRM and SIS. So today we are mostly going to focus on the CRM piece of EDlumina. So as I mentioned, we do have a very special guest joining us today, and that is Brenda Scharman, and she is the owner of Cameo College of Essential Beauty. So before I pass it over to Brenda, I'm going to read a brief bio on her. That way you can get a little bit more familiar with our guest. So Brenda is a second generation school owner, born and raised in the beauty industry. As a child, her parents owned and operated professional salons as well as Cameo College of Essential Beauty in Utah. Brenda became a licensed professional, beginning her education in electrolysis at the age of 17, then working through each discipline of education her family owned college offered, now holding numerous licenses in the field of beauty, including electrology, cosmetology and barber, master esthetician, and holds instructor licenses in each, which I think is super amazing. At the age of 23, she became sole owner after the death of her mother, growing the college from a small college averaging 15 students to over 200 over the last 3+ decades. She is instrumental in the movements of the beauty industry, not just in Utah, but across the nation, as she keeps an eye on every state issue that may affect the cosmetology industry. She has held board positions for the Utah State Board of Cosmetology, as well as ACTS and currently NACA's commissioner. She now has her daughter playing a lead role in the college as school director and two grandchildren, also part of the college, to continue her legacy. So, as I mentioned, we have a very special guest, and it has been so wonderful working with Brenda. So, I am so thankful that she was willing to join us today, and I cannot wait for her to share just all sorts of different words of wisdom and her experience with EDlumina. So, Brenda, thank you again for joining us, and welcome to our webinar. Brenda, can you give us a little background on Cameo Students and what your role is?
200 and 250 students. We train in, if it's legal to train in Utah, then we train in it. So cosmetology, hair design, nails, aesthetics. Utah is one of the few states that offers the master aesthetics license. And then my role is compliance and admissions. So those are my primary roles.
Well, tell us a little bit too about how many admissions reps do you have working at your school, and around what is the size of your school? And I think that you also have some exciting news with the size of your school.
Yes. So we have 3 admissions reps
Okay.
plus myself. I am what I consider backup. So when they need help, they raise the white flag and I jump in. But I'm also on EDlumina daily watching communications. And as far as our size, So, like I said, our facility size is 20,000 square feet. We're about 10 minutes outside the Salt Lake City, Utah area, and we range anywhere between 200 and 250 students. And our exciting news is this, maybe I'm sure that we're smaller than some, we're larger than others, but we just had our enrollment start class, our highest count of starts. We had to limit it and start a waiting list for our October, but we just started 75 students in our September class, which is our record enrollment or our record start, I'll say. We have been using EDlumina almost 10 years. I think we just passed our ninth year starting in 2013, and we love it. There's no way that we'd be where we are without EDlumina. You were attending an AACS convention, and two of my staff members, I have my admissions and my financial aid team there, and they came to me and said, we need this. We did have another CRM, and they said, no, Brenda, we need this. And honestly, Ashley, I didn't even look at you. I just trusted them and made the switch.
But I think to your point as well, it does say a lot too that a CRM really is necessary for a school, having something to manage that. And if your staff was asking for it, it's great that you were able to give them a tool to help them do their job more effectively. So that's great. So going more into EDlumina and it being a great admissions platform, tell us a little bit more about how you use EDlumina and how it has improved your admissions process.
Okay, what I really appreciate is from the time we have an inquiry off of our website, then it will feed into EDlumina, and we're notified that there is an inquiry, and our admissions team, they are on it, so they will reach out and touch bases with that inquiry. And so we follow that prospective student or that lead all the way from inquiry all the way through the tour process, the admissions process, the enrollment, the start, and then all the way through graduation, licensure, and placement. So it really helps with the outcomes on our annual report. All communications are in EDlumina, and if we have a telephone call, my team will input that in our notes. So, what's fantastic is any of us can jump in and read the notes, and that individual thinks that we remember them. Something that I think is really important is risk management. So, again, I personally am viewing communications and doing regular trainings with my staff. Now, with BDR, it's really scary. I think that we're all at legal risk. So, I think it's really critical that we're all looking at those communications that our team is, conveying to our prospects to make sure that everything is accurate. But what I really appreciate it helps us stay on track. It helps us follow up. It helps us again connect, and they think that we remember them based on the notes. And we do it. I want to elaborate on something. We do use our CRM, your CRM, a little bit different than I think most schools do in their admissions. We don't have, although we do have my lead, your lead, each of our admissions teams, each of our admissions reps have their own leads, but we work as a team. So checking messages, communicating back to that lead, we all jump in. If somebody's giving a tour, then there's somebody else taking phone calls and returning messages. So we really all work as a team instead of so and so had this conversion rate and so had that. We do an overall and work as a team, which works really well for us.
Love that. That's awesome. So, yes, thank you for sharing all of that. And I am going to go ahead and also share my screen right now because I do want to show a little bit of what you were just talking about. So, all right. So, on my screen right here, what you are seeing is EDlumina. So, this is our platform. So, I know one of the things that you were just talking about, though, is being able to effectively manage leads, track information in there, and communicate with leads. So, right here, what you're seeing is the lead in page on EDlumina. So on this page, this is where your brand new leads will come into the system. So whether they're coming from your website or you are inputting a lead into EDlumina, they will appear under this lead in filter, so you know you have a brand new lead that you need to contact. You get basic information on this screen. All of these headers you can drag and drop to customize your view. You get a timestamp. You also know exactly where that lead is coming from, whether it's coming from online, a Google ad, a Facebook ad, all of that information. And on this screen as well, there are a lot of different filters. So I know one of the things that you were mentioning was being able to also just manage your follow-ups and stay on track with your follow-ups. This filter right here, my follow-ups, is based on me, the user logged in, and it makes it so easy for reps to know what appointments they have going on, who they need to call, who they need to follow up with. And then from an admin perspective, you can look at all follow-ups. So you know, how is everyone performing? Are they keeping up? What appointments do we have going on today? We do have a lot of schools where their receptionist may have a login to EDlumina, and they can go in and see what appointments they have going on that day, so they can greet people as they walk in the door. But right here, it does make it very simple just to go in and say, all right, I am past due on these 2 follow-ups. I better make sure I address those. And then here's everything else that I have going on for the week. So to your point, Brenda, very easy to manage all of your follow-ups and your appointments and communication. Within a lead profile itself, I know that you touched on the messaging component. And yes, it is huge to know what communication is being sent out to students, and then also just tracking that whole communication, not only from a compliance standpoint, but also, like you said, to be able to personally communicate with students and remember what was said and recall past conversations. So on a lead profile page, on the far right here, you will see the message symbol. When I click on that, you will see all of my message history between myself and this student. So anything via email or text will stay stored within EDlumina. As you can see down here, you can send HTML style messages, you can send text, you can put hyperlinks, all sorts of different messaging capabilities within the platform. But the great thing is you do have all of your message history stored right here. And then lastly, I know, Brenda, you also touched on notes. So I do just want to go ahead in the lead profile and scroll down to notes. That way you can take a look at those. It is very simple to add notes to the system, and then those are viewable to anyone who goes into the lead profile. The student would never be able to see the notes. That is internal, but it is very helpful, like you were saying, Brenda, to recall any past conversations, any past phone calls that you may have had. So yes, definitely a great feature that I wanted to point out. All right. So back to our communication, Brenda. I am curious to know how you think EDlumina does help specifically with cosmetology schools.
Well, in my humble opinion, our prospects, they are, at least ours, tend to be more right-brained than some other professions. Say, any kind of a technical college training in computers or whatever the case may be. I believe that they need to be nurtured, they need their hands held, and what I really like about EDlumina is we can speak their language. What I mean by that is we can use emojis, we can create a photo, we can create anything that we want that we think is going to be the perfect means of communicating with that prospect. Then we can create that and send that in EDlumina, which I think is critical. I mean, our prospects, when you look at our communications, they've got all these emojis everywhere, and the text conversations, the LOL and JK, and anyway, it's excited. They'll send the party hat that they're excited to start, and they just need a lot of follow through, and they need that communication on their level. So sometimes it's not uncommon for a prospect to reach out to us when they're even preteen, 12, maybe 13 years old, and we'll put them in our system that, okay, you can start with us when you're 16, so let's start getting serious when you're 15. We'll keep them in our system and we'll reach out every 6 months. We say, how are you? What are you thinking? And, are you still, come in, come get your hair cut? Because we're going to need that student. We're going to want that student in 3 years as much as we want them today.
I think that's great. And you are absolutely right. Speaking their language is so important, and you are fostering relationships for a very long time. It may be years before somebody comes to your school. So being able to maintain that relationship, communicate effectively, all of those things are awesome. And something else I do want to point out, because it is relatively new to EDlumina, but recently we added the capability for you to be able to send video messages from your phone to students. So you could be on your phone and you could record a little video saying, hey, we are so excited that you're interested, or hey, we have an event coming up and we want to personally invite you to come to our open house. And you can send that via video message. And I know that video messaging tends to be something that is trending right now, especially in the cosmetology industry. And when you are communicating with people of that younger generation, like you said, speaking their language is everything. And those video messages, I think, are really useful. So we were excited to add that feature and functionality to EDlumina. And I think it's great just to make people aware that you can absolutely do that. And it's effective and it's important to know your audience. So that's awesome.
Well, again, I think it starts with that connecting with that prospect and communicating, speaking their language. But something that I do, and I've learned, I have to warn my team, is I will send out mass texts or mass messages, and whenever we're getting close, and let's say that we have, uh, even if it's just one or two openings left for a certain class. Now, I want to stress that we need to keep in mind, because that's one of those risk management areas that we need to be careful. So we need to be honest, which we always are. So we have a weekly report where we know exactly how many students are starting and how many openings we have left in each of our programs. So I will send out a mass text to the prospects that are, again, EDlumina. You can choose which program they're interested in. So let's say that I have 5 openings in cosmetology for our class that's starting next week, then I can do a mass text to only our cosmetology prospects, and I can say, we have 5 openings left. We would need to hustle, but if you'd like to start next Tuesday, let me know. And they all feel that it's a personal text. And I can't tell you how many times we receive messages back, yes, please, I'm ready. And so we have all hands on deck. We are prepared. Whenever I warn my staff, I'm sending out a mass text, because it goes to hundreds, and it really helps fill those last minute classes. And then on top of that, when those classes are full, then I can send another text out that indicates this class is now full. Our next class is da 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 da. We have so many openings. Are you ready to start in that class? So I think that really, it drives urgency. And when there's only a limited number of openings available, then that definitely helps fill those.
No, that's awesome. And like you said, it's that follow up and making sure that they really do feel like you are personally reaching out to them. So I think that is great. So I also am curious to know just favorite features within EDlumina. I know that we've talked about quite a few already, but anything else that you would like to share in terms of favorite features?
Yeah, I really like the reports. I'm definitely a report person. And so, although we do it as a team, I still do an overview of those reports as far as our lead to contact, and then our contact to appointment, appointment to show, all the way to start, and then again, continuing on, beyond that. So I think that helps us know, and where it indicates if we're up or down from the last month, then that way I can gauge how our team is doing. And then what I can do it by rep, or I can do it, our full campus, however I choose to do it. And I think that that really helps because, like I said, our reps do have their own lead, even though we do it a little bit different. They're not that rep's lead until after that rep has toured the lead. They're everybody's lead until that rep is toward them. And then they go under that admissions rep. But again, we all jump in and are helping with any messages, any communications. So I would say the reports, because then that way I know how the team is doing as a whole. And I can identify our strengths and weaknesses so that I know where to improve.
Great answer. No, I love that. And you are absolutely right. Being able to track your progress is everything. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just to kind of go over again the reporting side. So excuse me, just to give a quick overview, we do have a ton of one-click reporting available in EDlumina. So all of this is available to you within one click at any time you would like it. You do not need to contact our team to access these reports. So I'll just scroll through and show you the reports we do have available. And then to Brenda's point, I do want to show you one specific report that is a really awesome report for the admissions process. So right here are all of the reports that we do have available within EDlumina on the CRM side. So we do have dashboard reporting, status reporting, demographic reporting, efficacy and actions, and user reports. There are also a whole bunch of other ways that you can pull, different data based on custom fields and things like that. These are just some pre-built one-click reports that we do have available to you. The report I always like to show, though, when it comes to admissions, and one of the reports that Brenda was referencing is our lead trends report. This report really does give you a great breakdown of your whole admissions process from the time a lead comes in until they enroll. You can break this report down by campus, you can break it down by program. But ultimately, what you're seeing is, hey, we had 58 leads come in during this custom date range that I've set at the top. And of those 58, 36 enrolled. And then you are able to see it broken down every step of the way of lead to contacted, contact to appointment scheduled, etc. So it really does help you identify, is there a particular area in our workflow that is causing a hang up? And you also can get very specific with this report. So all of these headers are clickable. So I can click here to say, okay, of the 58 leads that came in, I want to know what reps contacted those 11 leads. So I would see the reps that contacted them, and then I can click on each of the reps to see what specific students were contacted. So very great report when it comes to admissions. And I did want to highlight that because I do think the reporting in EDlumina is very strong and it is very useful if you are trying to track your numbers. So, all right. And I did want to also ask you, Brenda, because you have been with us for almost 10 years now, like you mentioned. Tell us a little bit just about your relationship with Ciena as a company.
So, one of the reasons that we did do the switch is when I did talk to EDlumina Ciena, what I appreciated is that I am talking to a real person. And the relationship is so valuable when you can reach out, just as you have all done, and meet our needs or listen to our ideas. And those individuals, sometimes you'll purchase a software program and it is what it is. So you deal with whatever you have to work with. Where with Ciena, I can come up with an idea of what would make our lives easier, and it sometimes it's a few days, sometimes it's a few months, but I do not believe that there is a thought or an idea or a recommendation that I've come up with that you have not implemented and given me an update. Okay, we're looking at that. Yes, I think that's a great idea. We have other people that have asked for something similar. Here's what's coming down the pipeline. Here are modifications. What are your thoughts? What can we do to make your life easier? And I really appreciate that. So that relationship, being able to communicate to you, sharing what would make our lives easier as admissions reps, I think it's priceless.
Well, thank you, Brenda. We very much appreciate your feedback. And that is one of the things that we do enjoy about having a personal relationship with our clients, is that we do want the feedback. Ultimately, we want our platform to be something that makes your life easier. So we are always open and receptive to feedback, because if there are ways that we can improve our platform and make it better for everyone, we absolutely want to do that. And I'm sure, Brenda, you can attest to this. Over the past almost 10 years that you've been with us, our platform has continued to evolve and develop, and new features have been added, and we are always looking for ways to make your life easier as a consumer. So one of the things that I can tell you that is coming actually soon, so I'm going to let you in on a secret here. We do have a roadmap, and we have a lot of fun things that are in the pipeline, but something that is coming by the end of November are pre-built templates. So especially when we have new schools come on to EDlumina, or smaller schools come on, they just don't even know where to start with templates, or they have so many other things that they're trying to take care of, that creating messaging templates is just one more thing on their to-do list. So we are going to have some pre-built templates in EDlumina based on our admissions experience that you will be able to use. You can edit, modify, but they will be in there as just a helpful resource and tool for you. So all sorts of exciting things coming in the pipeline, but that's just one thing that I wanted to share with you. And Brenda, thank you so much for that feedback. It's great to hear that, and it's nice to hear from you and know what you appreciate about Sienna. So thank you.
Thank
And
you.
the last thing I want to ask you before we open up Q&A is, you've obviously been in the industry for a while, and you are full of wisdom, and we really do value you. So what advice would you have for any school owners in the cosmetology space who may be on today? Is there anything that you can share with them that you wish maybe you would have known a long time ago, or just anything valuable?
Yes, I think there are two things. Number one, have a CRM. I can't tell you how many schools call me and they're using Excel spreadsheets, they're using index cards, and oh my gosh, it's such a waste of time. Just such a waste of time. So there's that. So that's my biggest piece of advice: is have a CRM where you can follow up, where it has the tools that you want and you're familiar with. If you don't have a CRM, then it's hard to know what you don't know. And so as you are researching and seeing what EDlumina has to offer, for me, it was just perfect. And again, what I really appreciated is, if you're using an Excel spreadsheet or index cards or nothing, then you can't monitor the communications of your team and have risk management. So I think that, just as vulnerable as we all are right now, then I think that that's critical. Um, the second big piece of advice is, and we're all still hearing it, and it drives me nuts, and I did it too. So when our enrollment, the only reason that I jumped in and started doing admissions is we were down to 67 students. Okay, we now have 248. 67 students, we can't even survive. But we were blaming it on the economy, we were blaming it on new competition in the market. So my biggest piece of advice is quit pointing fingers and blaming. Own it and say, what can I do different? So when I jumped in and I just started taking those admissions calls, I started following up with those prospects, I started doing campus tours, then I learned what was not happening in my school. And the our CRM was not being utilized at all the way that it could have been. So understanding what your CRM can do and what your team is doing is critical. And like I said, quit using excuses. How many times are we still hearing due to COVID? Well, I'm so sick and tired of hearing due to COVID. So I will not say that. But what I will say is, due to COVID, we increased by 80 to 100 students. So thank you, COVID, I guess.
Oh, I think that is awesome, and that's great advice. So, Brenda, thank you so much. It does not look like we had any questions come in, so that will conclude our webinar. And Truly, Brenda, we are so grateful for you. Thank you so much. If anyone would like to get connected with Brenda, please feel free to reach out to either of us. I'm sure that we can provide you with my contact information, and I would be happy to connect you with Brenda. And if any of you are interested in learning more about EDlumina, please reach out. I would love to talk to you. Obviously, Brenda is a very much a success story of how EDlumina has improved her school and helped her to grow her school. So I would love the opportunity to chat with you, learn a little bit more about your school, what you're doing today, and see how we can help you. Also, stay tuned. We will be having another webinar coming up on October 20th, so save the date. And that webinar is going to be all about EDlumina updates. There have been a lot of really cool and exciting updates that have happened within the past couple of months. So we just want to take time to show all of our current clients and prospects some exciting things that we have done here recently within EDlumina. So thank you all so much for joining. Thank you again, Brenda. You are fabulous. And I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.